Greetings, everyone. Just wanted to make a quick video. As you may be aware, I believe this is the anniversary of when Kevin Samuels passed. I believe it was exactly 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, to the day. And I realized that, so I just said that I would go ahead and dropped something that I meant to do during my interview or slash collab with Black Ram 313. I'm sure those of you who may be viewing this video have already seen that classic collab that we did. If you have not, it's highly recommended to check that out. But during that collaboration, there was a point in which I wanted to ask Black Ram about an interview that he did with Kevin Samuels. And to be sure, Black Ram was one of the first people, I believe, to interview Kevin before his ascension to become the household name that he later would become. And I found it to be a very good conversation that they had with regard to Black men's style. And I didn't get a chance to ask him about it because, those of you who may be aware, when you're doing certain productions, you don't always get a chance to get to everything that you want to do for the purposes of time. And the conversation, was flowing very well. I didn't want to sidetrack into something else. It's kind of like, like when you're producing a movie or something, they have what's called things being left on the cutting room floor or B-roll and things like that. So I didn't get a chance to ask Black Ram about that conversation, but I felt it was appropriate today, considering that once again this is the anniversary of Kevin's untimely death. So I did want to take this opportunity and do kind of a quick reaction to some of the points that they made, which I said before was a very good conversation, and they brought out some points that I think uh, need to be talked about a little bit more. And shout out to Brother Black Ram. I hope he doesn't mind me using his content. I am going to drop the link to his original video because, like, this is his content in fair use, hopefully. But yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and do it. I noticed that as time was winding down, I'm currently not in the States, but I looked at the Central Time and it's I think about 10:47 Central Time. I think on the East Coast, it's almost the next day, um, with regard to it being past the fifth. So kind of at the last minute, I decided to do this because in my time zone, it's I think it's still I think it's a little past the fifth. But anyway, some of you may get this. Still be on the fifth. But at any rate, again, I did want to just kind of commemorate his memory. I haven't done a lot of things on Kevin over here because I felt that a lot of people were kind of oversaturated, using this content. And as you are probably well aware, we're very much capable of creating our own content from scratch and uh, building our own points and so forth. So I didn't feel the need to piggyback off of work that he has done. Although it could have been a quicker road in terms of getting more traction on our channels, but we like to get it out of the mud and build organically using original content and so forth. And that's not to say that in the future we may not start using um, other content, because I've behind the scenes I have some uh, people that we may be doing some things with. But that's something that you should kind of just keep a lookout for. But yeah, we didn't feel the need to just do a lot of reaction videos to Kevin's work and so forth, because like I said, we do a pretty good job of bringing our own content to fruition. And to be quite frank, we already have our own issue of people using our own content and expressing some of the same points that we've made. So it's just something that I didn't feel the need to do a lot of. in terms of speaking on Kevin, or reacting to much of his content. So just want to put that out there. But in any rate, in this particular case, I do feel it's a unique situation. This is the anniversary of his passing, as well as the fact that I did mean to talk to Black Ram about the interview that he did with Kevin. And like I said, during our collaboration, I did not get the chance to do that. So here we are, and I'm going to go ahead and react to a couple of things that they talked about when they did this collab. I'm not sure exactly when it was. Again, it was certainly before Kev had made his ascension, and Black Ram is a very cool guy. He's one of those guys who will work with you, as I can say from experience, no matter how big your channel is. um you know he's just that kind of guy, and that's why we definitely rock with Ram over here. And so, yeah, it's a very good conversation, and we're going to get into it real quick. And like I said, this won't be long. It's just a few things that I wanted to touch on that I was going to ask Ram about. So I'm just going to do it in this format. So let me go ahead and get that queued up, and let's get it.
One who demands respect and dignity. And I have to say it, we all dress down. I'm not saying that a guy not gonna go to the basketball court, man, with his baseball cap on. But there has to be a time when you want to portray a strong masculine frame. And yes, you want to do it primarily for yourself, but there are always other Black men watching. And as an introspective Black man of reform, keyword there, reform. Reform. Reform in what? One of the things we have to reform is our image.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Ram there. I think that it is unfortunate that so many Black men in particular don't see the importance of that. And that's not to say that you got to be suited and booted and everywhere. Even myself, I like to dress nice. As some of you maybe noticed in some of my pictures and videos and so forth. But I like to dress for the occasion. So sometimes I might be bike riding or hiking or doing something that's more of a physical endeavor, and I make sure that I'm dressed appropriately. I like to wear combat boots if I'm hiking or things like that. So um Kevin, to me, was very much so more of that metro guy, where he would definitely be more um, in tune with those type of nuances. um, I think more so than a lot of us, because for me, I like to dress well when I'm going out to an occasion, but I'm also that rugged Midwestern guy. I'm used to growing up in a harsh, cold environment. So I'm not so much as the guy who's always looking to dress up. Because again, I like functionality. So a lot of times you can catch me in the khaki suits and the like I said, the hiking boots and all of that. But at the same time, when I'm going out or doing something of a business nature, I'm going to be dressed up. But to Ram's point, it is important to have a good image, right? And I think that that's something that's lost. And back in the day, and I actually did a video about what happened to Black men's style, and I showed over the years how back in the day Black men were always suited and booted very well. When they took pictures, and whenever they were representing, it was a very big deal to show a very masculine and positive view. And I think that over the years that has been lost, and it's really a shame. But let's continue.
Now, we don't do it just to keep the cops off our back. We don't do it just to attract women. If that's a perk, if that's a byproduct of it, fine, but that's not the intent. The intent is making a change and representing something more than street style or street culture or street mentality.
Just a second. Let me step off for a second. I need to close this window.
Okay. So we want to represent something a little bit more than the negative, stereotypical image of a Black man in America. We want to be more than just that. And I'm just made 40 years old. I want to be a grown man.
Well,
Can't be a little boy all your life. Go ahead.
you said something about portray the image of a distinguished black man, and that's the whole thing. Image, at the end of the day, is about showing who you are on the inside, on the outside. So, how does distinguished walk? How does distinguished talk? What does distinguished eat? What does distinguished drive? What kind of bed does distinguished sleep in? How does distinguished write an email?
Mm-hmm.
That's your personal brand.
Yeah, that's a very good point Kevin's making. It's not just one dimensional, it's across the board. How do you go about your daily life? How do you conduct yourself in terms of everyday activities? I think that's all part and parcel of that being a distinguished man. And I think a lot of people lose that point. And like I said, Kevin was very good at dealing with the nuances of image. And, that's one of the things that's definitely sorely missed from the space in terms of that particular perspective that he had. So I think that was a very keen and relevant point. And I think a lot of guys would do well to keep that in mind in terms of not just dressing to paint an image or project an image, but to um, encompass who you are. If you are trying to be that distinguished man, it should be across the board in terms of how you're conducting yourself in various arenas. So let's continue.
So you can be distinguished on the basketball court. You can be distinguished in the swimming pool. You can be distinguished anywhere you go. And guess what? Because that's who you authentically are, you'll portray that in everything you do. And it wouldn't matter if you got on a ball cap, Jordans, or a suit, you're still distinguished. People tell me you're dressed up. You always are dressed up. Even when you dress down, you dressed up. What they're really saying is you're consistent. You're consistent so much so that I don't even really worry about what I see on the outside. I can really just focus on who you are. And at the end of the day, so that's what image really comes down to. Moving what people see over here so they can end up seeing the real you. Now, if you people who say that doesn't matter, who I am on the inside matters, I'm gonna give you the same example I give everybody. When I go to college campuses, and a lot of times when I go to an HBCU, I know I'm getting a different energy from the crowd. And I say, okay, imagine you find yourself, you wake up and you're in a jail cell in Texas, and you up on triple murder charges. You didn't kill the mayor's wife, his daughter, and his dog. That's what they're saying. Now, you go on before the judge, and he's known as the hanging judge. You go on to trial. You need somebody to defend you. Your mother, your pastor, your homeboy, your daddy, your fraternity members, your church group. Everybody tell you, we got this attorney. He wants to defend you. He's the best attorney out here. He graduated top of his class from Stanford. He went to Harvard, was the president of Harvard Law Review. He's actually argued before the Supreme Court. He's never lost a case. He wants to defend you. Your life is on the line. Then he walks into the jail cell to introduce himself, and he got on a Jimi Hendrix kind of tie-dye t-shirt, some kind of distressed jeans with some holes in them, some Jesus sandals, some black fingernail polish on his fingernails, studded bracelets, kind of like some emo hair. Do you want that man defending you?
Nope. You want a distinguished gentleman defending you because
wait. No, why not?
Oh, because that image, somebody coming there looking like any old thing, representing you, says a lot about you.
But I just told you all of his accomplishments, all the stuff he's done, his character. He came highly referred. He's the bomb. All the stuff that we always walk around talking about is important. But just like that, you said no.
Because he doesn't look like he has all of those things.
So you mean image is more important than all that other shit? Because if you don't get over image, all that other shit don't matter.
Yeah, I have to admit it.
So when men who are Ip Moore or MGTOW or otherwise inclined say, you know what, it don't matter. It all that matters is I'm a good dude. I make a lot. I got all these other things. My image don't matter. Remember that shit. It does.
Yeah, so that's a very good point. And even Ram had to concede that, yeah. So in spite of those credentials that Kevin laid out very well in terms of ostensibly what you would expect for someone to defend you, it really wouldn't matter if that person came in looking as he described, because no matter what, that's what people are gonna remember, right? Like they say, image is everything. Now, obviously, you need to have both, right? You would have to, because the opposite can be true too. So if you got some guy and he's dressed up in the shiniest, greatest, most polished suit, and you know, looking like $1,000,000, but if he goes in there, he's a blithering idiot. That's not good either. So you need a combination. You need to make sure that your image is a representation of what you are trying to portray. I'll give you a quick anecdote, and we're gonna get back to what they were talking about. Like I said, I'm just gonna probably be on here a few more minutes because like I said, I didn't mean for this video to be long, but I have a quick anecdote about how important image is. I remember years ago, and as I mentioned to some of you, I uh, owned property, and as a landlord, unfortunately, because I have multiple properties, but unfortunately, sometimes you find yourself in a situation where you have to evict someone, right? And typically, what I would do is I would go down and personally do it. I mean, I could have hired someone to do it, but I always wanted to handle things like that myself so that I could kind of get a feel for how everything was done. I would follow all the paperwork myself. Occasionally, if I was too busy, I would hire somebody to do it and so forth. So, hire an attorney. But a lot of times I would do it because I wanted to understand the process hands on. But anyway, what I would do is I would go down and when they had the hearing with regard to having to evict the tenant, I would show up, and I always would come in suited and booted, and I would have a suit on. I would have my briefcase and so forth, and I would have all of my paperwork or whatever I had. So I remember on more than one occasion. Um, the tenants that I was evicting, they would kind of come in there dressed casually, or in some cases dressed down, right? Very comfortably dressed, for lack of a better term. And once we got called before the judge, it was so obvious that the judge was being deferential to me. I remember in one particular case, the judge asked him, he asked me, are you the attorney? He asked me if I was the attorney because I was so polished and I was dressed so well, because he wasn't used to people coming in there where they were, because I was looking at landlords that were coming in there and they were wearing it looks like they had just got through painting you know a ceiling, or painting their properties, because a lot of cases that's what they would do. They would be doing little work around the buildings that they owned, and they would just come right into court, and they look like they had just got through working on a construction site, so they would come in court like that. But here I was, a landlord, but I came in there suited and booted, and this particular judge, he was asking me if I was the attorney. I said, no, I'm the owner. And he pretty much just kind of was giving me a lot of benefit of the doubt, right? He was like, okay, well, because there were certain things that he was requiring, certain paperwork and things. I said, well, yeah, I have it here. He said, no, no, I don't have to see it. I'm sure you got everything in order, blah, blah, blah. So it was just kind of interesting. And all that came from was the image, right? Some of the stuff, I mean, I had already won before I even had to present my case. To Kevin's point, the image, even though I was prepared, right? I didn't just come in there as an empty suit. I did have my things together, but I remember how deferential that judge was to me as opposed to my tenant, even though, like I said, I had all of the needed information, but a lot of stuff he was just letting pass. He was like, oh, okay, no, I don't need to see that. I'm sure, it's as you said it, and da da da. And so it was very interesting because I came in with such a polished image, and I was, articulate. I was, stating the case in terms of what happened, and that image is very powerful. So it's specifically as black men, and so you gotta make sure that you are aware of that. So we're gonna get a little bit more of that, and then we're gonna be wrapping up. But I just wanted to highlight this conversation between these two men, and how important it is, and just to kind of, on this commemoration of Kevin's life here, remember the impact that he had in terms of this messaging, because I think black men still need to hear this to this day. So let's go ahead and get a little bit more of that before we wrap up.
It does matter.
It does matter. It does.
I have yet to have somebody sit back and say, damn. And usually when I do that in front of a group of people, the person's sitting there nodding their head. See, we online right now, but you was nodding your head as soon as I said Jimi Hendrix tie-dye t-shirt. You're like, oh, hell no. Jimi Hendrix? You're going to get me killed.
Mm-hmm.
So
when thinking about, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
So that's the point. And that's how quickly image hits us. See, and it's because it's in our primitive brain. We are social creatures. We have to make decisions about each other. Do you watch The Walking Dead?
Yes.
If you had to say, what's the bigger threat to your existence? Is it the zombies or is it other groups of people?
Other groups of people, for sure.
Wait a minute. There's millions of zombies who want to kill, steal, and destroy. It's fewer people.
Mm-hmm.
But the zombies aren't the issue. It's other people. Why? Because when you see a zombie, you know what's up. You've already said danger, Will Rogers, danger, leave. But when you see another person, another group, are they good or are they bad? What are their intentions? All these calculus goes on. That's image.
Mm-hmm. That's image. Absolutely, that's image. Thinking about image and thinking about style and thinking about distinguished gentlemen.
Okay, well, yeah, I think we'll stop there. But it was an excellent conversation. Like I said, I'm going to post a link to Ram's channel. So if you guys want to go and see the entire collaboration that they did, it's very interesting, very eye-opening. And so I did want to, as I mentioned before, touch on it during Ram and I's conversation. I didn't get around to it, so I thought this would be a good opportunity here on this anniversary or commemoration of Kevin's life. So hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm not going to hold you. I did just want to kind of point out some of the things that they talked about, give my 2 cents about it, because I was going to, kind of talk to Ram about image as well, and kind of, during our conversation, touch on that a bit. But at any rate, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.